Decía que con elegancia y orgullo usaría un sombrero con forma de progre feminista, que estaba de acuerdo con la desunión que fomenta el movimiento Black Lives Matter y que era maestra de estudios de género pro LGBTQI+. Además, irónicamente enseñaba religión y afirmaba ser católica apostólica romana. El activista conservador, al escuchar a la tía progre, la rompió con preguntas y sentido común y lo verás en este video. En él verás a Jesse Lee Peterson, un activista conservador, teniendo una conversación con una maestra de religión y de estudios de género. Mira el video completo y dime si es irónico o no. Pero antes, suscríbete a nuestro canal. Tenemos la meta a mediano plazo de llegar a los 100,000 suscriptores. Sin mayor dilación, empecemos.
You also teach gender studies. What is gender studies?
So gender is something that it's a key part of a person's identity. And it's not something, it's the same as race, it's not something you choose. You know, it's something that you are faced with, it's changeable, but it's a social identity.
But we
and
only have
individuals in society have to negotiate
We
that.
only have two genders, that male and female, right? And so you teach about those two things, male versus female, or male and female. Am I right about that?
Yes.
There's no other gender, right?
Well, gender is actually a rather flexible thing. No, not our Western culture is a culture like you get a form, it says male, it says female,
Right.
you tick one. But there are some cultures which actually do have more than one.
But we don't have that here.
We don't have that here.
And so you're just teaching about male and female.
Well, I don't teach. You know, I'm teaching about Christianity. I'm teaching about the Western world.
Right. You know, I wanted to ask you about the nasty women rally they had in Washington, D.C. and around the country. Were you a part of any of that?
I went to the women's rally here in L.A.
Oh, you did? The women there was really, really dirty. You know, you had Madonna dreaming about blowing up the White House. You had women wearing these pink hats.
I'd have loved to have had one, but I didn't have time to make one.
And they're supposed to represent the right? Those hats. Did you want to wear a hat on your head?
You know, there's various stories about that. I think that the hats haven't really
They
got
said for I asked. I talked to
it's
them.
from Pussy Riot. I
Right.
think that's but it's
Would you have wanted to wear a pussy hat on your head?
if I'd have been able to get one, because I think it was a way of saying, look, we women are here. We are not going to allow our reproductive rights to be taken away. That was one of the major focuses.
But
of
the way
march.
normal people saw that, they saw these women as being men haters, you know, family hating, abortion, LGBT kind of women, and they displayed themselves in a way where a normal man would never consider marrying them or even associating with them because they were so close in those rallies.
Look, I was on the streets that day, and there were 750,000 folk here in LA on the streets.
Right.
It was amazing, and like these were all sorts of people. I mean,
I know, but it was dirty people.
No,
You had Black Lives Matter, you had the radical homosexuals, you had the
So
LGBT.
you think Black Lives Matter is a nasty thing?
Yes. They are worse than the KKK.
You think that Black Lives Matter? So you don't think that Black Lives Matter?
I think they need to be gotten rid of. They are worse than the KKK, and we're going to tolerate Black Lives Matter.
You think that the Black Lives Matter is worse than the KKK?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Because it's a very radical, agitative, evil organization that is built of radical black hands and
but it's
radical
particularly about protecting
black
young black
homosexual
men.
No, they never went into the black areas at all.
Well,
black on black crime out of control, and the only thing they did
you
was
sound like you know. Look, black on black crime. This idea that black on black crime is out of control. Yes, black communities have problems, But actually, crime is down in the United States. If anywhere where
Well, you
crime
need
is
to send that
rising,
notice to Chicago.
is in white communities.
Just the other day, there were young black males who raped a young 14-year-old black girl. I just did a story on that. And the black on black crime in Chicago through the roof. And you never saw Black Lives Matter marching in those areas, demanding that the police go in there and clean up the mess. Obama did nothing about it. And so it's just out of control. They're pretending that it's not, but the reality that it is. So that's why one of the reasons I say that Black Lives Matter is worse than the KKK, because they're encouraging hatred rather than love. What did you
there are lots of folk involved in Black Lives Matter. I mean, Black Lives Matter is a movement that has come out of the black community, but it's made alliances with lots of groups. If you actually see black...
Well, all evil groups, though, not with good people.
The thing is, you say they're not with good people, but like these are the ordinary folks of America and California. These are people of all ages, all races, all classes. You know, it's about people coming together to build something better.
But would ordinary people chant in a rally, what do we want? Cops, when do we want it now? Pigs in the blanket, fry them like bacon, and right after that, some folks go out and start cops?
Look.
Would ordinary people do that?
Black Lives Matter
but
is
answer
not
that, though,
about doing...
Would ordinary people do that?
In any political movement, you're always going to have the loonies around.
No, these were the heads of it.
But these are not the people who are the heads of it.
No, I've interviewed them. Take my word, it was.
Yeah, well, this sounds, you sound a bit like Mr. Trump.
Thank you.
Take my word on this.
Yeah.
Even though nobody in Black Lives Matter has been the leadership has ever said anything like that.
No. So you would have worn, had you had a hat, you would have worn it in public at the Dirty Women rally.
You call the dead, but like, there were all sorts of folks.
But they're all dirty.
They weren't all dirty. Like some of the people
You're not
I
telling
saw
me
there,
yes. You don't look like a lady.
There were nuns in habits. There was a local Catholic parish that sent its group to this march, not to...
Do you think Pope Francis would wear a pussy hat?
No, I don't think that Pope Francis
so.
would wear a pussy hat.
Who is God? You're a Christian. Who is God?
Who is God?
Yes.
Well, God is more than we can imagine. God is a being that transcends everything that we are and that we can know. But as a Roman Catholic, I believe that God has become known to us through Jesus Christ.
Have God and his son Jesus been given a bad rap with these far left people? They present him as weak. They present him as a social justice person. They present him as accepting everything that's wrong rather than who he really is. And as a Catholic person, are you happy with that?
Well, it was Jesus who preached the Sermon on the Mount. It talked about loving your enemies. It was Jesus who gave the Beatitudes, including blessed are the poor, blessed are the merciful, blessed are the peacemakers. Well, I can follow that Jesus.
But Jesus was never and is not for the sin that human being lives in their fallen state. Do you believe human beings are in a fallen state?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so is it true that Jesus came that human beings may overcome that fallen state and not accept it and promote it as a norm?
Well, within my religious tradition of Catholicism, we had a very great theologian, Augustine. And he realized the depths of human sinfulness, but he also realized the power of divine grace.
Right.
And in our tradition, I expect the split between the right and the left is those, we both see a world sunk in, fallen in, to use your terms, fallen in sin,
Right.
transformed by grace.
Right.
Those on the right want to put the emphasis on the fallen in sin. Those of us on the left want to put the emphasis on transformed by grace.
But you're not transforming if you're accepting the abnorm, the sin, as a norm. I don't hear, even at the rally, the women rally, I didn't hear them repudiating with love the radical the LGBT people, Madonna, who was as confused as a doorknob. Some other people were saying crazy things. I didn't hear anyone repudiating those people. They were accepting them in the fallen state rather than showing them how to overcome it. And Jesus would never agree with that.
Antes de iniciar con mis comentarios, primero quisiera manifestar, así como lo he hecho en otros videos, que en este canal ponemos a raya los temas religiosos, sin denigrarlos, evidentemente, para procurar totalmente la objetividad. Así que, teniendo eso en mente, quisiera recalcar que la posición oficial de la Iglesia Católica en cuanto al tema gay se basa en sus enseñanzas morales y doctrinales. La Iglesia Católica sostiene que las relaciones sexuales deben tener lugar exclusivamente dentro del matrimonio entre un hombre y una mujer, y que cualquier forma de actividad sexual fuera de este contexto es considerada pecaminosa. En el Catecismo de la Iglesia Católica, que es una recopilación de las enseñanzas fundamentales de la Iglesia, se afirma que las personas con esta tendencia deben ser tratadas con respeto, compasión y sensibilidad. Sin embargo, también señala que las acciones son intrínsecamente desordenadas y se oponen a la ley natural. Por eso es muy irónico que esta tía sea maestra de religión, además de pertenecer a una religión que está en absoluto desacuerdo con lo anteriormente expuesto. Asimismo, en el segmento se menciona el movimiento Black Lives Matter. Para quienes no lo saben, este es un movimiento social que se originó en Estados Unidos con el propósito de abogar por la supuesta igualdad racial, que según ellos afirman no existe, y protestar contra la violencia policial y la imaginada discriminación sistémica hacia las personas negras, lo cual hace referencia a un supuesto patrón de discriminación arraigado en las estructuras y prácticas de una sociedad, institución u organización. Se le acusa de ser un movimiento que exige paz por medio de la y la discriminación inversa contra las personas blancas. Por eso es que Jesse Lee los compara con el KKK. No sé si YouTube me tira el video si menciono qué significan esas siglas, así que búscalo tú en Google. ¿Y tú qué opinas? Déjamelo saber en los comentarios. Y aquí culmina este video. Si te gustó, dale like, comenta el video y compártelo. Gracias, hasta luego.